relates to Sagittarius and the ninth house. And I have collected philosophical quotes for as long as I remember, going all the way back to posters in my bedroom as a teenager, growing up, carried on through college. Of course, now they're just so easy on the internet. I love that Virgo detail. First of all, we're going to review a little bit on the Jupiter archetype. Not too much, but I just want to give you some key points. Jupiter and, of course, Sag in the ninth house is the principle of growth and expansion. It is how we understand the natural laws of the universe, the deeper cosmological understandings of the universe. Jupiter relates to religious and spiritual philosophies. And all of this is coming from what we would call right brain, intuition, sixth sense. That part of us that wants to understand our world beyond what's manifested. We want to put the bigger pictures together. And when we do that, it allows us to have not only a sense of understanding of our world and the universe, but it also allows us to reach a spot or a point of inner peace. Because when we make sense of our world, we can relax and feel safe within it. Jupiter is also known as the archetype of the teacher or the guru. And I always include this quote by Jeffrey Wolf Green. The fundamental laws or principles in our universe are the same for all individuals or cultures, but they are conceived, conceptualized, and expressed in a diversity of cultural and individual ways. For example, anybody who has been a student of evolutionary astrology for any length of time comes to understand that it's basically known as a spiritual astrology. And students of ER are questing for what we call natural law or universal timeless truth. But that universal timeless truth, as it's condensed into religions, can be understood in a variety of different ways. As a matter of fact, in today's world, we have approximately 3,500 different religions for expressing our universe. So as Jupiter makes its 12-year cycle through the zodiac, spending approximately a year in each sign, this is our ability to continually, consciously expand our universe. And with any bit of luck, or perhaps a lot of intent, we can break free from the narrow-mindedness of some of the fundamental religions and expand our understandings in broader and broader ways until eventually we understand again universal, natural, timeless truths. These are always found through nature. The Jupiter archetype contains the future. That principle of growth and expansion and evolution is always moving us forward into the future. This is where Jupiter's always going. This is why you get this saying, Jupiter's always looking for the greener pasture on the other side. It's always wanting to move forward. It contains the whole archetype of honesty and lies. Both archetypes contained within Jupiter. Jupiter is about integrity, standing in the integrity of what we believe and what we understand to be natural for us. The distortions of that is exaggerations How many times does a Jupiter archetype tell a story? If you're married to one and by the 10th time they've told the story, they didn't catch a 12-inch fish, it's now a 48-inch fish. The stories become exaggerated when we are not standing in our integrity. It's also about authenticity versus compensations. When we are not authentic, when we're not standing in our perceptions of truth, we get caught up in compensating for that. We can compensate on ourselves and our own personalities. Examples of this is a Jupiterian person who will go along with the lover rather than saying, I don't like going to the bars, or I don't agree with your religion, but I'm going to compensate on who I really am so that you will like me and have a relationship with me. This takes place in any area of life, be it the work arena, be it friendships. We can compensate with our parents in order to ease up any control or judgments that parents may have with us. The Jupiter archetype also contains what we know as alienation lessons, and this comes along to break us free from the group or the consensus to really find out who we are, to get into that honesty and integrity and authenticity of ourself. So sometimes with Jupiter, the more the merrier, but we will also have alienation. And so whenever you feel that, the Jupiter question is, what's going on here that I must understand about myself? Why do I feel different? How do I stand in my truth? How do I stand in my integrity? This archetype also contains what we call integration and assimilation lessons. In other words, as Jupiter expands into the new, we cannot just run here and there and going to the polarity opposite, Mercury with its rulership of Gemini, third house, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, all over the place. With Jupiter, we've got to be able to integrate the knowledge that we learn. We've got to be able to integrate and assimilate and bring it into our life and experience it in our life. It also is language and communication lessons. And many times we can feel that alienation from others when our language skills are not able to impart what we want to say. Jupiter can be the know-it-all. My version of the truth or my religion is better than yours. And now let me tell you, Leroy has a mother, and one of her favorite sayings are, now let me tell you, because whatever your opinion is, she's going to have a better opinion of it. And so sometimes there will be those little cliches in languaging that really come across as put-offs and condescending. And so with Jupiter and with Mercury, we're all learning to adjust language and words and communicating in order to be understood and heard. Another thing about Jupiter that we don't always recognize is sometimes it will take away. When we're always wanting to expand, we must create the space or the void to expand into. So Jupiter will take something away. It will create loss in order to create that void or space to expand and grow into. And of course, the good old more the merrier. Many of us are quite familiar with Jupiter's lessons of excess. If one cookie is good, then 10 is better, right? The good old consensus advertising with Lay's potato chips, you can't eat just one. That's playing into this archetype of Jupiter. Now, when we start to look at Jupiter in Virgo, as we know, all 12 archetypes are divided by 2 polarities, 3 modalities, and 4 elements. And by the way, if anybody's very new to astrology in general, evolutionary astrology, I did do a series on this about a year ago on the modalities and elements, and you can look for that on the workshops page of the website. It's also in the beginner's learning path. So polarities, you can see here, Jupiter's in active polarity, but Virgo as an archetype is passive. And so we have both polarities going on here, back and forth, back and forth. And we can distort that into having no balance or no foundation, and it can just circle around, and Jupiter can expand all of that energy all over the place with too many Virgo details to keep track of. More on this as we go along. The modalities, which is the mode of operation, cardinal, fixed, mutable, they are matching up as you see here. They're in sync. Now, mutable is adaptable, changeable, trying to understand and put it together. The elements, which have a tendency to be the nature of anything, Jupiter is the fire element, which is spirit. Virgo is the earth element, which is physical and practical. And so what we can have here with the elements is manifestation over ideas. Jupiter in Virgo is going to be interested in what we can actually produce and see and what's happening, versus remembering to sometimes back up into that larger picture of ideas. And when we distort that relative to the polarities, it can go either way. Jupiter and Virgo cannot be bothered with the details. It just takes too long. We go into overwhelm, or we want to just ignore them or push them away and pretend like they don't exist. When Jupiter moves through Virgo, we have to settle down and have a balance with the practicality of our ideas and beliefs. And one of the things that you can find here, earth energy will put out the fire. Again, I'm only interested in what I can produce or manifest. I'm not interested in the bigger picture. Well, then when that happens, fire will come along and scorch the earth. If we're not balancing out these 2 elements, fire and earth, the larger picture will take out the manifestation. So we have to put this together then in such a way that we look at the big picture, bring it down to earth. When it doesn't make sense anymore, we go back to the bigger picture. That's moving these polarities back and forth in a natural way, and it's moving the elements back and forth in a natural way. So when Jupiter moves from Leo to Virgo, one of the biggest shifts that we start to see going on is shifting from a pyramid reality complex of life into the inverted pyramid reality. So as